We're eager to visit with you about anything that matters to you. We've covered the basics, that you are more than you usually recognize. You are the creator of your own experience, moment by moment, and so is everyone else. And we want to lay one platform. It's an uncomfortable statement for some who haven't thought about it much before. But as the day unfolds, we think that you'll feel the harmony of it as your understanding begins to bubble back to the surface, as you begin to remember all of this stuff that you have known for a very long time. In this universe, in this physical time, space, reality in which you are focused, there is not an already decided right and wrong about stuff. And you get the sense of that as you watch different families or cultures or civilizations making different decisions about different things, about what they deem is right and wrong. And they give each other such a hard time. In other words, the confusion about that, the argument over what's right and wrong, and the determination to make those that are doing what you consider to be the wrong thing stop doing it, and their decision to get you to stop doing the wrong thing. It is at the heart of the discord, not only that you have with each other, but the tug of war that you generate within yourself, which is really the only one that we're talking about ever, is that tug of war between you and who you really are and all that you've become. And so today, for a little while, rather than thinking so much about, Esther used to say to us, well, I wouldn't do that. I would never do that. And it took us a while to make Esther understand that that's sort of an irrelevant thing. Just because she would never do that does not mean that she gets to stand in that place of, I'm right about this, because, oh, that place will bite you. When you stand in a place where you are sure that you are right, you do so many irrational things that work against yourself and against the common good, against what you're really reaching for in terms of the harmony that you seek. So rather than trying so hard to keep defining this right and wrong thing, it's like, so you're stopped at the stoplight because it's red and you know that's right. You don't go on a red light. Unless the exceptions, you're turning right and there's nobody coming, blah, blah, blah. Or unless there's a sign posted that says under no conditions will you turn right, but you know the rules. And you've decided that you're not going to break this rule. And then you're doing something else that you knew was right because you remembered it from your driver's education training, that when you stop, you look in your rearview mirror to see what's happening behind you. So here's a red light and you're stopping, but you also do that other right thing. You look in your rearview mirror and you see that the 18-wheeler that's barreling in behind you apparently doesn't see the red light and he's not going to stop. So what do? Well, if you're an upright citizen, you sit there and you let him cream you. Because that would be the right thing to do. Or do you follow the path of least resistance? Do you use your own ability to evaluate, and do you allow this broader perspective being that is really you feed you the impulse to always keep you going with the flow, with the well-being that you seek and with the love and kindness that you are? And so we know that's really a ridiculous analogy, because it's only those who don't pay attention who would not move out of the way of that. But there's a whole lot of things that you don't move out of the way of because you've practiced being in the way of them, because somebody has taught you that being in the way of that is the right thing to do. And we say, there is a source energy, infinite intelligence, absolute loving perspective of you at all times, calling you, gathering you as one of the cooperative components to cooperate with the well-being of your own life. But you gotta be in the mood. You gotta be in the vibrational atmosphere. You can be so resistant to your own guidance system. And when you are, then we know you wanna blame the circumstances, you wanna blame the others, and we don't want you to blame anyone. We want you to know what you don't want and know what you do want, and understand that when we talk about the path of least resistance, we're talking about the path of most allowance. And when we're talking about the path of most allowance, we're talking about the path of you allowing yourself to be the most of what life, all that you have lived, has caused you to be. And we also want to say, in a very powerful way, nothing less than that will do for you, because there is no regression. You can't live life which causes you to know what you don't want and ask for more, and your inner being stand there in your vortex with what you've asked for, focused upon what you've asked for and understanding it completely, and the law of attraction responding to that point of view, and all of the cooperative components being gathered to who you have become, and you not be one of them, and you feel good. That's the biggest tension that you've got going on. You have become so much that you are not allowing yourself to be. And most of the reason that you don't allow yourself to be what you've become is because you are arguing for the limitations that you learned when you were little or yesterday. This law of attraction thing, this bag of marbles that you're carrying around, it's complicated in the sense that a lot of things have affected what you put in there. But it's simple in the fact that this bag of marbles has a relationship with this bag of marbles, and the blending of the two is what the bliss of life really is what you came to do. You said, I'll go, I'll live, I'll figure it out, and I'll align with the whole of who I am. And I will be a powerful caller together of things that feel good for anybody that's in the vicinity. But not one of you said, I'll go out there and I'll sniff it out. I'll find out who's doing the wrong stuff, and I'll get after them. And I'll clean this mess up by making them stop doing that stuff that is wrong. And we say, with all of the love that we can get Esther to muster in her voice, how's that working out? So, we're eager to talk with you about whatever it is you want to talk about. What do you want to talk about? Some things. Standing on your chair does not help.
That part you said with the marbles and how you've been dropping them in kind of gets to this question around, you said conditioned. So people talk about, or they'll say, yeah, you've got some sort of limiting thought or subconscious thought, and I've heard you speak.
You've got to believe it's not subconscious. Nothing subconscious is active in your bag. Subconscious things are not attracting to you. Only the ones that are active in your bag are attracting to you. That's important to know. Yes. If you're not feeling emotion about it, it's not a player in your game.
So it exists in there because it got dropped in there when you were 6 and 12 and 18
You put it in there.
Yeah.
You put it in there.
Yeah.
You thought it there.
Yes.
You observed it there.
So it exists in there, and it's not all active.
Most of it isn't. Most of it's dormant.
Yes.
Most of it is dormant.
And any of it can be active.
Yeah, but it's not likely to be unless there's something really big that activates it. And when it does, it stings. You can feel when somebody pushes a sore spot.
Yeah, yeah. So what is that everyone says? No, I must have a liberty. In other words, if I make a lot of money, I'll spend it all and I'll be right back where I started. Like, what is that thing that seems to go against what they really want, and they think it's a power that is holding them back or limiting them in some way?
It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter where they picked it up, and it doesn't matter how long they had it. But what does matter, how does that thought feel? Say it again. Say that thought as succinctly as you can.
I'll never have enough, or
I'm never going to get enough, because as soon as I start to get some, my husband's ex-wife petitions the courts and takes more of it. And therefore, I am powerless to have what I want. And we say, you're only powerless because you're depriving yourself of it. You can't sort all of that out. It's crazy making. Where did I get this idea? How long have I been thinking? But you can sort out, I wonder what my inner being thinks about this. Wonder how my inner being feels about this. And you know for sure, if you feel defeated, your inner being feels the opposite. If you're blaming someone, your inner being is feeling love. If you feel deprived, your inner being is feeling your abundance. Because it's two ends of the stick. That's why this calibration should not be a difficult thing to do. But it takes some explaining to so many who have been conditioned to believe that you are not good, that you are not perfect, that you are not creator, that you are not blessed. How many times do humans hear that you were born sinners? Really? Who makes this stuff up? Someone who needs you to behave differently for their benefit. Self-interest is a real thing. Self-interest is a real thing. And if we can convince you that your greatest self-interest is to be yourself, to be the lover that you are born to be, to live the prosperity that you were born to live, and the clarity and the vitality and the flexibility and the fun that you were, and once you start calibrating to that, it doesn't take very much of you deliberately focusing and affecting your point of attraction and then seeing the results of it before you can come to the conclusion that you are blessed. And here's why we are so sure of this. Most people offer most of their output, their focus, vibration, energy, whatever you want to call that. They offer most of it as a result of what they are observing. So doesn't it follow that if you can deliberately drop some marbles in your bag so that you are deliberately activating your point of attraction, and then you get to witness what the law of attraction does in response to that, now isn't that habit of observation going to serve you? That's why the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. But you got to start out there with some real point of understanding your own guidance system. Esther and Jerry were in Orlando many, many years ago, and Esther was driving, and the navigational systems were new, and Esther was really excited about them, and Jerry didn't like them because he was the navigator in their family, and he liked his maps, and he liked guiding in Magellan, which was pretty inferior at the time. Esther was in love with it, and so she was programming it. And so Jerry's just allowing Esther to program the device, and off they go. And so they're headed down the road for a little while, and Jerry is grinning a little bit, and he says, you know, you're going in exactly the opposite direction of where you want to be going. And Esther said, oh, that's not possible. I programmed it in. I've done every single thing that Magellan has told me to do. I can't possibly be going in the wrong direction. And Jerry said, look at the compass on your car. Which way are you headed? And Esther said, oh. And Esther said, I've got an idea. Let's go back to where we started. Let's program it again, and then you watch every turn we make so that you can see that I did exactly what it told me to do, so that you can see that the flaw was in the system and that I didn't do something wrong. And Jerry said, or we could just start from where we are and go to where we want to be. And that's really what your guidance system is doing all the time. Your inner being is not saying, oh, no. We've been telling you and you haven't been listening, and so now you're on your own. Your inner being never says, you have to live with the consequences of your foolishness. Your inner being never, ever stops giving you the information that matches who you really are and what you're most asking for. You cannot get it wrong, and you never get it done. And the reason you can't get it wrong is because you never get it done. Right? Really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Really good.
Thanks.
Yeah.